Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
And you got not MIT graduate Luke.
Just spoiling this. Luke, we're continuing our Great Engineering University series, this time with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT.
Massachusetts? Massachusetts?
Can you spell Massachusetts?
I cannot spell it. I'm looking at the screen and can spell it, but I probably can't spell. I know there's a lot of S's and T's.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do
I
it
did
either.
mine on the Michigan Inner City Theater when you said MIT, so
I should have been clearer.
I'm not sure how this is going to work.
It'll be an interesting mix of information that we provide everyone.
It will be. So, kids, if you are looking for the address of MIT, the real one, it is 77 Massachusetts Avenue, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 02139. And if you want to give them a call, you can dial area code 617 253 1000, and you can get in touch with their admissions department if you're interested in giving them a call. I don't know if we're allowed to give that kind of information out, James, but I'm just going to do it.
It's on the internet.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
I was surprised by how readily available that was. Like, it was everywhere that I saw, which was strange. Do you have a Michigan Big House shirt on?
I do have a Michigan Big House shirt on.
Well, that's interesting.
And you know
you
why?
were a Michigan guy. No.
I'm really not, but like my daughter has these aspirations of going there, and we vacation.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you know how? I mean, we've done many episodes. Yeah, do you know James, how expensive it is?
I know. Believe me, it seems like the more I learn about how expensive schools are, those are the only ones my daughter is considering. Even though she could go completely for free to the school that my wife works at.
Right.
So I do want to strangle her, but that's a whole nother episode.
Speaking of expensive schools, Luke.
Speaking of expensive schools,
MIT.
So, this one hurt. So the good thing is I have two different numbers, James.
Oh, okay.
I have the before financial aid and after financial aid.
Oh, well, let's hear them both, I guess.
So before financial aid per year, latest stats I could find, $72,426 a year.
Huh. That's like, you have to have some good podcast cheddar to make that happen.
Good. So you're talking like you're going to get an undergraduate degree. And what is that? 122 is 4. You're looking at like.
What are you doing? I don't even know what numbers you're saying.
$72,000 a year times 4.
$300,000.
Yeah. You're looking at like a little under $300,000 a year. I'm sorry, a little under $300,000 to get an undergraduate degree. That you could probably go somewhere else and get a very similar degree for a lot less money. But here's the saving grace, James. The average cost, after aid, is only $17,000.
That's not so bad.
That's fantastic.
Not so bad.
And here's how you get that, James.
Tell me how.
So the tuition is completely free if you have a household income typically under $140,000 a year. So if you have a combined household income, and then as soon as it goes above, 140,000, then that's where that 17 number comes in. So if you're like parents are, really well off, you're not getting anything. If your parents are doing okay, you'll probably get a little something. And if you're on the lower income level financially, you're probably going to go to MIT for free as long as you can get the academics.
Which is pretty easy. If we get into the standards here in a little bit, you'll find that it is very easy to get in based off of your grades and SAT scores. Before we talk about those, I wanted to talk about the history of MIT a little bit. Is that okay?
Yes.
MIT.
We need history music.
Like Jeopardy or something?
Yeah, something. Go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Founded in April 10th of 1861. That's pretty old. It was a land grant university, just like Penn State. Yeah, how about that?
State Cougars.
That's right. Go check out our Great Engineering University episode about Penn State. Yep. That's right. Nittany Mud Duck Lions. Let's see here. Granted its official charter by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on that date. This was 2 days before the start of the Civil War. Not fun fact, I guess. several years were planned and lots of fundraisings. So the first classes, even though it was kicked off in 61, the first classes only began in 1865. So 4 years later.
Took a little while to get it off the ground.
Yeah, everything at MIT is slow. They don't have big brains there. The idea for MIT originated with William Bill Barton Rogers, who was MIT's first president.
Fan of the show.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Rogers was a professor of natural philosophy at William and Mary.
As opposed to unnatural philosophy?
I don't really know what that means. Honestly, I don't. He described his vision, Luke, as a new polytechnic institute in a letter to his brother, because I guess they were tight. So that's something. Let's see here. Ellen Swallow graduated from MIT in 1873. She became a faculty member, establishing the Women's Laboratory and becoming a leader in her sanitary engineering areas. So just kind of calling that out because having a female in that sort of position at that time was rather progressive. So good job, MIT.
And it's Women's History Month as we're recording right now, depending on when this goes live. Yeah.
Is that March?
Yes, it is.
See, I knew that. I was testing you to make sure you knew that, Luke. Well done. I'm proud of you. Robert Robinson Taylor is recognized as the first African-American graduate of MIT. He was there from 1888 to 1892, getting his degree in architecture. So another big shout out there. Also, fun fact, MIT's official colors, Luke, are the cardinal red and silver gray. Why did colleges do that? Like Ohio State, some stupid thing, and Michigan, some stupid thing. Like it's not just blue and yellow. They have like fancy names for it. I don't know. I don't like it. But these colors were selected in 1876 when a communication signed by a committee representing the classes of MIT affirmed the executive committee and the Alumni Association. This next part's boring. The next part's boring. Some more boring stuff. Oh, something I did like is two things. Their mascot is the beaver, which I thought was pretty awesome. And why is it the beaver? Because, quote, of all the animals in the world, the beaver is noted for his engineering and mechanical skill and habits of industry. His habits are nocturnal. He does his best work in the dark. So apparently MIT students do their best work in the dark, but also they're good engineers. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about was that way back in the day, they were originally located in Boston's Back Bay area, and the institution moved to Cambridge, where it is now, like you mentioned, and gave the address very nicely. So I'm sure they appreciate that. And when they had this move, they had this big celebration in 1916. And when they were doing this for the celebration, they had what they called a telephone banquet, which was connecting alumni from all over the country for this real fancy presentation. And you're like, what's a telephone banquet? Well, from Symphony Hall, they called all these branches of alumni all around the country. And you're like, well, that's not real impressive. Well, keep in mind, back in like early 1900s, telephones weren't really a thing. So MIT basically figured out how to wire all of these places together and have them all connected up to the one telephone so that they all got connected at the same time and were all able to hear everything and celebrate all together. So they spent all of this time doing this thing so that all of the alumni could be there to celebrate. Last but not least, MIT's move to Cambridge and the construction of its new campus were made possible because of a substantial donation, Luke, from a, quote, Mr. Smith. Do you know who Mr. Smith was?
I don't. Mr. Smith.
You don't know who it is. That's because no one knew who it was until later on. It came out that it was Mr. George Eastman, the founder of Eastman Kodak.
Yeah, check out our Kodak episode.
That's right. That whole buildup was just for us to say, go check out our Kodak episode.
Yeah, humble way of getting more listens. Some additional things to add to that, not really history, but more kind of stats about the school.
Yeah, please.
They have a whopping acceptance rate of 17? No. 12? No. 7% is the most recent acceptance rate that I could see. And here's a fun fact. On their own blog, this was written by one of the bloggers. It said, "Look, we admit less than 10% of applicants. If you set your goal as being admitted to MIT, you're likely to be disappointed." This is on their own blog.
That hurts.
So
That's, I mean, brutal reality. Like, welcome to the real world, kids. That, I think that's for the school itself too. I think engineering's down in like the 4 somethings, which is harsh.
And then, so on the flip side of that, the graduation rate is bananas, because they're clearly getting like the best possible candidates in,
like you and I.
Exactly, like you and I. Their graduation rate is 94%.
Holy moly.
Which is school wide, not just in engineering, and they have an average enrollment of like 4,500 students. So the way they talk about each class is they're looking for like 1,100 of the best possible candidates to like climb a mountain like that.
Yeah.
So you talk about like other things that help you get in, like other than just straight up grades. So yeah, having good SAT scores and being, top of your class is good, but to get to that next level and get accepted, you have to be doing other things. You're not going to, like, if you just have a good, GPA and good SATs, you're not going to get in on just that. You need to be doing some other things. So
I want to talk about those SATs and other things, but before we do, let's take a break for a word from our sponsor.
I have to assume that it's MIT.
It is
the Michigan
MIT. The Michigan something theater.
Inner City Theater.
Inner City Theater.
It is not the Michigan Inner City Theater.
We have a couple shout outs, which are better. Yeah, I guess they're better. Todd F. That's right. Todd F. writes in and says, "James, it was quite impressive to hear your logical guesses about the energy makeup of various states from our power grid game that we played."
Yep.
Luke, I cringed each time you said kilowatt when you really should have been saying kilowatt hour.
People knew what I meant, Todd.
He does go on and say, and shame on you, James, for not correcting him. But then he does say, recall that a kilowatt is a unit of power, while kilowatt hour is a unit of energy. So there we go. Thank you, Todd.
You knew what I meant.
See, Todd, I told you he'd be all sassy about this. Luke,
why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, it's a movie.
Is that
reference.
a movie?
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
Todd, I appreciate your insights and you being impressed by my knowledge of power plants. Ben Y also wrote in, I'm a mechanical engineering student that is scheduled to graduate this year, and I love listening to your podcast while I walk to class. He suggested an episode on engineering-ish video games and board games, and also a special shout out to his capstone project. His group is working on a device that is meant to clean up the debris off of sand beaches. So I appreciate that. Good job, team.
I do too. I like beaches, and I like when there's not debris on them.
I agree completely, and I like throwing debris on the beach, so this will take care of all of that for me.
Terrible person.
I don't do that. No, I do like
when
that.
People are
That's
watching.
A great project. Well, that's true. I'm not going to go there. Anyways, if any of you would like a shout out, if you'd like to tell us about your capstone projects, if you'd like to correct Luke on something that he said wrong once again, anything like that, why don't you go ahead and email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and as always, we love the reviews. I feel like I say something else during that. Oh, and you can always
about Alexa, maybe?
You can always shout at your smart devices to play the Unprofessional Engineering podcast. Wow, I totally botched that. I do that so many times. It's just ugh.
Well, we haven't done this in a while, so you're a little out of practice. Okay, so getting in, Luke. So you were saying like 4 to 7%, blah 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 blah. Looking at, they say the middle 50% score range for admitted students in math for your SAT scores.
This is the middle 50.
The middle 50% score between 780 and 800 on math. Keep in mind that 800 is perfect. So
the middle 50 is perfect.
That's pretty outstanding. On the other side, for the written part, or the English verbal, whatever we call it, the middle 50 is So 25 to 75th percentile is 730 to 780. So you have a little more wiggle room there. But what I thought was interesting was they broke down the distribution of SAT scores for math and verbal, and what their admissions rate is. If you had a 750 to an 800 in math, you'd have about a 10% chance to get in. If you have a 700 to a 740, you would have a 1% chance to get in. And if you're below 700, you have a 0% chance to get in. Oh. Now on the English side, the verbal side, 750 to 800, you're at 11%. And if you're 600 to 640, you have a 1% chance still. So just because you can't speak English very well, like you and I, you still do have a chance to get in. So
yeah.
One more fun fact before I hand this over to you a bit.
Shoot.
It might help you to get in depending on what your name is. So just for fun here, popular names, or the most popular names there, are Daniel, Andrew, and Grace.
Interesting.
Boom. There's that.
That's not what I was expecting you were going to go with. Okay. Yeah. So let's keep on the track of like what you could do to help yourself. Like, let's say you're a budding engineer, computer science, whatever you happen to be. And you're in high school and you want to take some classes that are going to ensure, other than the SATs, and like your standard GPA, what you might want to do. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you are taking a minimum, and I didn't know there was anything more than this, 1 year of physics in high school. You want to take.
You didn't know there was more than 1 year of physics in high school?
I didn't know you could. I mean,
did you have any years of physics in high school?
I had no years of physics.
I thought so.
You need at least 1 year of chemistry in high school. At least 1 year of biology. So, like right
this is
there,
all basic.
I'm totally out. But no, minimum 1 year. Like you don't even get looked at if you don't have that. Math, you got to go all the way up through calculus, which is, I would think that. They say at least 2 to 3 years of a foreign language, which I guess that's some of the language component that you were talking about. And they want at least 2 years of some type of history and or social science. And this does not include any extracurricular stuff that you do. And the extracurricular stuff is they're looking for things like the debate team, National Honor Society, clubs at your school like robotics clubs or math clubs or whatever they happen to be, the debate team. And then there's like things that are like outside of your school. So you need to do things like volunteering in your community, which I know is the worst. Like who wants to like volunteer and help their community?
I had to do that my senior year, but
because you had to. And then they look at things like, and this is the one I'm getting my daughter on a lot. So my daughter is a black belt, a second degree black belt in karate. And she keeps on saying she wants to quit. She wants to quit. And I'm like, this really demonstrates like commitment, leadership, discipline, that like if you are on equal terms with another student applying to a big school and they see that you've done all this extracurricular stuff and you're a fourth degree black belt, I mean, that's a serious commitment and dedication.
And they're going to be scared to tell you no.
Exactly.
Like you'll come karate chop them.
Roundhouse them in the face.
Right, so, exactly.
You said you had some other extra things that they could
do. I have some extra things. Alignment with MIT's mission. And this feels very millennial to me, or whatever the next generation after that is. Remember that there are many ways to make the world a better place. We're not looking for applicants to have cured all infectious diseases by the time they're 15. Tutoring a single kid in math changes the world. Lobbying a senator to amend bad policy changes the world. There are thousands of examples. You know what I was doing when I was 17 was lobbying senators to change the world, Luke.
I can't say what I was doing when I was 17.
Well, yeah, let's not get into that. Back to that forced public service. Collaborative gracious. And cooperative spirit. So again, showing that you play well with others. Initiatives, opportunities are abundant at MIT, but they must be seized. Show that you're a risk taker, but like a wise decision maker. Hands-on creativity, curiosity, character of MIT community, the ability to prioritize and balance. Like number one question they have is tell us about something that you do simply for the pleasure of it. So this like what you hear here is very much like a job interview.
Yeah,
it's
very,
not
very much.
can you do the job, can you model in CAD, blah blah blah. It's tell me a time about
when you overcame a challenge. Oh yeah.
Yes,
And
it's
if you
very
happen to
much
have
like
$300,000, you can come too.
Yes, exactly. But these are a lot of the things that you could be trying to focus on and making sure that you're a better person who aligns with the MIT mission.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the next thing, at least the next thing I have is the rankings of the schools. But before we do that, let's take a break for this week's Luke's rant.
So my rant, again, directly like personal and related from the last one we just recorded, is I feel like this idea of SAT. So my daughter is in 9th grade. She took the PSATs this year, which is really early. She's an overachiever.
I was going to say that seems early.
Yeah, it's super early. She killed it too in 9th grade. So I'm doing a little dad brag right there.
Yeah, dad brag.
But the crazy thing is, the minute you take an SAT course, every university in the world all of a sudden has access to your home address and your email. So here's my
you're getting flooded.
Oh my goodness, my 9th, and I'm sure it's just standard, brochures that we're getting. And I feel like the pressure on like this one test, an SAT, a PSAT, I think there's other tests that you take for entrance that are kind of typical requirements. Like to think that one test kind of defines you. Whenever I hear these scores that you just mentioned, like I get that it would be impossible to go through every single applicant and find that diamond in the rough. But
me.
Exactly. But do you know how many students are probably purely overlooked because they don't test well? Me personally, I'm dyslexic, so me test taking is incredibly difficult. It takes me a long time.
And you're dumb. So
well, yeah. I mean, primarily I'm dumb. The dyslexia is secondary to my dumbness. But the crazy thing is, like the fact that one test can determine whether you get into a school like MIT. Yeah. And I'm sure there's programs at these big schools, or I hope there's programs like Diamond in the Rough programs where like, hey, I didn't do really great like academically, but like you still have the ability there, and it's really just a matter of like nurturing it. And I hope these schools have that. I just see the pressure that my daughter's already putting on herself, and she's in 9th grade, and this is only going to escalate as we go into sophomore, junior, and senior year. And I'm just hoping she doesn't like go bananas over the pressure.
Yeah.
So
I can understand that. I've heard that a lot of some schools are doing away with their SAT requirements. I think this was kind of COVID related, where they were like, we can't get them all together to take this test in this, big COVID zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe they were like, oh, turns out it's not really all that necessary to begin with. So hopefully it is going that way. That would be nice. All right. With that, how about we talk about the engineering school rankings for lowly MIT?
So before we get to the engineering school ranking,
okay.
So overall, the entire university in 2022, number 1 in the world, which is great. And now that's the whole school in of itself. Number 2 is
the
lowly.
Engineering programs are bad, is what you're saying.
Yeah, comparably. Number 2, just to set some context, number 2 is University of Oxford. Number 3 is Stanford. Really? Which really surprised me. And there was a tie for University of Cambridge. 5, because there was a tie, was Harvard, and 6 was Caltech. Just to set the
7 was Penn State.
7 Penn State, and 6 and 7 were really close. Penn State was
so it must have been right there,
right there.
Okay, very good. So I saw the rankings for the engineering schools. So spoiler here: engineering school program rankings, number 1 best engineering school across the board there, like overall. But in the special rankings, aerospace number 1. Biomedical engineering or bioengineering, number 3. Chemical engineering, number 1. Civil engineering, this might not be the place for you. It's only number 7. It's garbage. Civil engineering. Computer engineering, 1. Electrical, 1. Materials, 1. Mechanical, 1. Nuclear, 2. Industrial, 5. And environmental, number 9. So apparently MIT doesn't care about the environment. They only care about lobster rolls. So
yeah,
there's that. And
man,
for
I
fun,
smash a lobster roll right
you
now.
do like a lobster, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Computer science, they're number one, which I kind of threw in there. It's pretty related to engineering, but in computer science theory, systems, and programming language, they're all number one. In AI, artificial intelligence, they're number two. So probably not going to go wrong going to MIT if you're going for engineering.
Yeah. So they're all of. So I think you listed all of them. I think. But so they have aeronautics and astronautics, biological, chemical, civil, environmental, data science, society, electrical engineering, computer science, material science, mechanical engineering, medical engineering, and nuclear. So I just want to make sure we got all of them in there.
I don't think I mentioned medical, did I?
They must be down on the list somewhere.
Bunch of bums. Yeah. Probably double digits.
Fun fact, they have over 40 research labs. So apparently when you go to like these big schools, they have like specialty labs that work on like really specific things. And one of their most, I'm not going to say famous, but the one like everybody knows about. Do you remember whenever Watson played on Jeopardy? The
IBM Watson?
The AI supercomputer?
Yeah.
There's the Watson lab is at MIT.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming it's in conjunction with the IBM Watson, but it's the same thing. And they go all the way down to the lowly old Wright brother wind tunnel laboratory. So if you're there for like aeronautics or astronautics, and you need to do like some external aerodynamic simulations. Actually, it wouldn't be a Oh yeah, it would be a physical simulation. There's actually a wind tunnel there named after the Wright brothers.
Both of them, Orville or Wilbur, or both.
It just says Wright brothers, so it's
which
plural.
one do you like better?
Oh, Orville for sure.
Orville, okay.
Yeah.
Terrible names. Names. Other reasons why you might want to go to MIT, much in the lines of those labs you were talking about. Number one, they have a 130,000 foot makerspace.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And they have what's called the Maker Czar running the whole show there. So this is kind of like their advanced program to like get kids more hands-on with what they're working on. But they're invited to the Maker Lodge to safely operate 3D printers and laser cutters and CNC machines and all sorts of other cool stuff. But all of the students receive Maker Bucks. So they basically get a debit card with like 100 smackers on it to go buy materials and stuff. Another great reason to go, and this is, I mean, every university should have this. They have a pirate certificate. Yeah,
like
that's
Pittsburgh
right,
pirate?
Not like that, like a matey kind of pirate. So the MIT pirate certificate became available in the fall of 2011. Students who have completed archery, fencing, pistol, either air pistol or rifle, and sailing can send an email to ahoy MITPE, like kind of like a ahoy matey, but different, at mit.edu with your name and your ID number, and show that you've completed these 4 courses, and you can get your MIT pirate certificate. And this was put together to like show the importance of physical education and wellness. And since you have to fulfill those requirements anyways to graduate, if you specialize in those 4, you can get your pirate certificate.
I like that.
I thought it's cool.
Okay, James. Go ahead. I was going to say, I got some grads.
Okay, hold on real quick.
The end.
Yeah, let's save that for the end.
Okay.
MIT, they have a 100K entrepreneurship contest. So basically, you're the smartest of the smart. You're going to school there. We're going to give you $100,000 to launch your business.
I got this podcast idea for them.
Exactly, right? They have Start MIT, which feels kind of like a startup thing that they do there. Lots of undergraduate research opportunities. The MIT Sandbox Initiative Fund, which is like kind of seeding the ideas for technology, and another $25,000 that you can get for all of your great ideas. And then, there's just a whole bunch of other cool things. They have a Pokemon League. What else do you need, kids?
I know. So one thing I saw, and I remember when this came out, it was one of the first big universities to do this, but I think I forget the name of it. I didn't make a note of it, but they offer all of their curriculum completely for free online.
Oh.
And you can basically, what do they call that when you take a class but you don't get credit for it? Proctoring. There's a name for it when you attend a class. Like let's say you're retired and you want to go to Pitt and you just want to sit through a class. Like you can sign up for it. There's a name for that type of thing. But apparently, I don't know if it's for all of their programs, but there's free curriculum out there that you can actually go and like sit through and read and basically learn everything you need to know about a particular class.
Auditing
a class. That's what it's called. Yeah. So you can essentially audit classes from MIT completely for free. It's online. I clicked on the 2 links and neither one of them worked. So maybe they don't do it anymore and I could be wrong. But they did have a little link for it.
I'm not going to go to school for credit, so I'm certainly not going to do it for not credit.
Exactly.
So tell me about famous people.
Yeah,
Luke.
so the last thing that I want to end on is like, it's a pretty interesting list, pretty diverse. So right out of the gate, the reason I would want to go to MIT, I must break you. Who is it?
Oh, Rocky IV.
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph
Lundgren.
What was his name?
Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago.
Yeah, so Dolph Lundgren, I think I forget what he is. He's Austrian,
I think he's
Swedish.
like an EE and something else, right? And physicist or something.
I forget his specifics, but apparently he's a brainiac. Not only is he, a handsome guy with a crew cut and muscles, but apparently he's super, super smart. James Woods, the actor.
I was going to call that out for our Family Guy fans out there.
Yeah, if you're a Family Guy fan, James Woods. Buzz Aldrin, so American engineer and astronaut. He was on the Apollo 11.
His name's Edwin.
Yeah, it's terrible. Glad he goes by Buzz.
Me too.
Benjamin Netanyahu. He was the opposition party prime minister, Israel, something like that. The next one is Kofi Annan. So this was, if you know who Kofi Annan is, he was a Ghanaian diplomat who served as the 7th Secretary General of the United Nations from 1997 to 2006. That is a good name. Yeah. It's one you'll never forget.
No.
Ben Bernanke. So this is the guy that runs the reserve from 2006 to 2014. I remember hearing his name a ton in the news. And who else do we have? Robin Chase. So she was a transportation entrepreneur. She started Zipcar, the car share ride service. It was kind of one of the first ones out there. Yeah. She has, I forget what she has from there. She has an MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management. And I think, and Bill Hewlett. Yeah, the Hewlett Packard cats. Yeah, how can I was waiting to
say that. Go check out our HP episode for Bill Hewlett. Good stuff there. But I did want to say the dude that made Khan Academy has 3 degrees from MIT. He has 2 bachelors, one in math and one in electrical/computer engineering, and a master's in electrical. So Khan Academy guy there. I had something that said there's proof that not everything at MIT does is good, because Sony International Productions president Andrea Wong got her bachelor's in electrical engineering there, and she's the one we can blame for shows such as The Bachelor and Dancing with the Stars. So not all good things, but still, she's still pretty successful. So good for her. And the person, Jonah Peretti, I think, co-founded Huffington Post and BuzzFeed. So another big one there.
Okay.
Lots of good folks. I mean, not nearly as impressive as the guests that we've had on the Unprofessional Engineering podcast, but still pretty good.
Not bad.
Anything else you wanted to add in here?
That's all I had, James.
Well, hopefully everybody is now inspired to go apply to MIT
and not get in.
Yeah. The blog says so itself. But I think there's a lot of interesting information there. If you are that smart, kids, good luck. I hope you get in. If you're old like us, good luck if you're still trying to apply for that grad degree or something. That sounds terrible. It might be easier just to get famous and then get in more easily that way. If any of you have any suggestions on great universities that we should explore the history and stats to get in for, if you just want to tell us what a great job we're doing, what a terrible job we're doing, or anything else of the sort, go ahead and email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com. And until next time,
See ya.